Hi.
So this is fun. We're normally live.
But we're not.
Well, we're alive.
We're alive.
Yes, but we're not live
But
tonight.
we're not live tonight for
Yes.
you.
Too much stuff going on, and we just had to record this. But this is an important topic, right?
Yes. Brand new yarn.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while.
Yes, it's really exciting. And Ellen and I spent the weekend swatching yarn. So, and I actually had a lady. I was in New York in the train station waiting, and I'm swatching away. And she came over and she said, "What are you knitting?"
Nothing.
Just a swatch. And she actually knew what I meant.
Did she? Okay, so she was a knitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said she used to knit, but she had tremors now and couldn't do it. So it was kind of sad.
You know, we have knitters that have tremors.
I know.
Yeah. It's a little more challenging, but it's doable.
Yeah. So anyway.
I always feel bad that I don't get more knitting done. And when I think about all of the swatching, like this is a whole sleeve, right? People say, why don't you get more done? Okay, well, if this swatch were a sweater,
right.
I would be killing it.
Yes, you would. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Ellen very cleverly took the 3 heavier yarns.
You don't like knitting heavy yarns.
Which is what she said to me. She said, "I know you don't care for knitting, with big needles, so I'll take these." Right?
Yes. Wasn't that gracious of me?
Right. Then I started doing my swatching on Friday morning, and I'm thinking, wait a minute.
This is a lot of knitting.
I'm working on 4s and 5s. She's working on
10s,
10s, 11s, and 13s.
Well, I think that's kind of a good thing about this range of yarn.
Yes.
You know, they've got the bulky or the chunky, all the way down to that fine one that you did.
Very fine one.
Yeah.
I was actually on a 3 on that one to begin with.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very cool line. I took a picture of all of the yarn swatches after they were done. I'll share that with you guys. You can see this here. Okay, so from left to right, that's the heaviest. That is the chunky wool. And they can't see, they can only see this.
Yeah, they're going to see that, right.
Yeah, the next one is softest alpaca. And then that third one in the pink is merino soft. And then the fourth one is
alpaca wool.
Right. And this one, alpaca cotton.
Alpaca cotton.
And
finally, alpaca haze.
Alpaca haze. Right. We've got a lot of alpaca. Right?
Yes.
Are you hungry? Alpaca lunch.
Alpaca
lunch.
Alpaca lunch. Okay.
That's an old joke, but that never gets old for me. So how should we talk about this? Do you want to talk about this from chunkiest to finest, or
sure.
from? Okay.
You start.
All right. Okay. So the first one is Rowan Mode chunky wool. Let me see if I can't get this little camera here to show you what we've got. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So this is alpaca wool. Yeah. It's kind of chunky. You can see. I'm not sure I like this so much. All right. We're going to not do that. I think we're not going to do that. Okay.
Just hold it up.
I think just hold it up. So this is the alpaca, the chunky wool, and this is 100% wool. So this is not as chunky as, say, big wool. This is a true chunky, 12 stitches to the inch on an 11. So they talk about this in terms of being, what does that say, my glasses? They're looking more at 13 stitches on a 10.5. So as per usual.
What needles did you do?
So I started with a 9. Okay, so I changed my mind. We got this camera going. So this is the chunky wool at 3.5, and I'm pretty sure I used a 9 for this, right? But this is 3.5, and that's a firm fabric.
Yeah.
Right? And I went up to, maybe I even did an 8, 9, 10, 10.5, 11. Yeah, so I did it on an 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, and 11. So I sort of feel like when I swatch this, it doesn't really matter what size needle I used. It's really more about the gauge.
Right.
Right? So here it is on an 11 at, what is this? Say 1, 2, 2.5. That might even be a 13. Two and a
I think
half.
you said you were going to try to push this to a 13 when you
Okay.
were doing it. You had
Right.
it on Thursday of last week when I was
Okay.
around.
So here it is on a 13 at
that
2.5.
Right.
And that's a pretty open fabric, but I would definitely think that's okay. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be arrested
No.
for wearing
No.
that.
So
So
that must
this
be
is
the
it
11.
on an 11. Yeah.
Right.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. So this is solidly 3 stitches to the inch on an 11. And that would be like for Cocoa Knits Emma. This would make a beautiful Cocoa Knits Emma. Yeah, so I think you've got a lot of flexibility here on this one, right? Whoops. I would say though that as far as the softness of this is a more toothy, you know? It's not, it's more structured than like a lot of your chunkies.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. Yeah. You'd say. I mean, it's a true chunky.
Right, and it feels like it would be durable,
Yes. Yeah.
right? It's, you know, if you are, would you wear that next to skin?
Yes. I think I would wear that next to my skin.
Because you're pretty sensitive.
I'm pretty sensitive to wool. Yes.
Right.
And
I
this,
would.
This is the 100%, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What I like about this yarn is it's a 3-ply, so you have a very round yarn with a beautiful balanced stitch definition. You know, if you, here, let's look at this again real quick under here. If you look at the stitches, you can see that they are perfectly symmetrical, you know, and the stitch definition is great. And you get that when you have a 3-ply, really round yarn. So I think this would be beautiful for cables.
Yeah, it would work really, really well with cables. Yeah.
Right.
It is. I mean, it's a very attractive look.
Yeah.
So clean. It's a clean look.
Yes, it's a stitch definition. Beautiful stitch definition. And you could do it nice and tight if you were doing a little jacket, you know? So yeah, I think this is a beautiful, durable, soft, all-purpose chunky yarn.
And how did it feel on the needle?
This was glorious to knit.
Okay.
This was so nice to knit. It wasn't splitty. It's bouncy. You know, you can see it's got a lot of bounce. Right? So it's very bouncy, and that's why I think you're able to push the gauge on this.
Yeah.
Because it's got that recovery, right? So I would definitely knit with that. That's in your wheelhouse. You might. What would you make?
I don't know. Maybe a jacket.
Yeah. Well,
I
next
think
week.
it would be heavy. It would be heavier, heavier. So a jacket for the days of fall when there's a chill out there.
Right.
So
A cardigan, maybe.
A cardigan. Yeah.
Well, next week, Mary and I are going to be looking at the mode patterns, so we will see what they've designed for us.
Designed for it. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
So
The next one then would be
this softest alpaca.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
And yes, and it is definitely soft. It's squishy.
This is so yummy. It's got a gauge of, what did we say on this? It's something like 14, 16, somewhere between 14 and 16, but it has a lot of flexibility. So here it is on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, size 7 needle. So this is definitely tight, but boy, is it plushy. I think that's a nice fabric.
Yeah.
And then going up, that's an 8. This was a 9. This, I think, is sort of right in their recommended gauge. I don't know that I would want to go any bigger than that. That's a 10.5.
Right. It works.
It
I think
does.
it works, which is interesting because I mean it doesn't look loose and floppy and ugly. It really looks like a nice fabric, and it feels good, right?
Oh, it feels so good.
So-
I think part of it is that it's got this fuzz that sort of fills in the spaces,
Yeah.
especially now that it's been blocked. Wow, the blocking made a huge difference on this one. This was really pretty. Yeah, I love that one. And that's got also, I think for as fuzzy as it is, has pretty good stitch definition.
It does.
It's glorious to knit with. Really, really lovely. This is the yarn that most of the designs in the collection are worked in,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so there's that one. And the
And this
last
is your
one,
next one.
in mine. So this one, this softest alpaca, the chunky wool, like I said, is a three ply, so it's a traditional plied yarn. This is one of the modern constructions. It's kind of a blown yarn, you know, it's got this fuzz inside the tube. And then this is this is called Merino Soft. This is their kind of high twist Italian merino. Any of you who are familiar with back in the old days when we used to do this kind of yarn with this high twist, you will like this. This reminds me a lot of Aurora 10.
Oh,
Do you remember Aurora 10?
I remember Aurora 10.
Right. This is a very traditional, what do you call it? Italian high twist merino. So yeah, I would say this.
So what did you start on that one? You said an 8?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I started on
With
an
an
8.
eight.
Yeah, I
Okay,
started
because-
with an 8.
Because
Is that what they
No,
suggest?
it recommends a 10.
Right.
16, so 4 stitches to the inch on a 10 is what they were,
Well, you know, when you've got a yarn this bouncy, you're going to need a bigger needle to get the same gauge. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 stitches to the inch on an 8. Now that's just me. On a 9, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, almost 4. Did I get more than 4 here? 1, 2, 3, 4 and a quarter maybe. This is why we measure across 4 inches.
Right.
But yeah,
It's hard to find just 1 inch
And
on
half a
there
stitch.
because there are like half and quarter stitches in there when it's not an
Exactly.
exact, line for line.
this is nice. This is a really nice fabric. This is not an extra fine merino.
No.
This is a merino.
It's a merino.
I think this is probably something like 20 microns, 20, 21 microns. But it's still nice and soft.
Yeah, it is. It feels good.
Yeah. And it's really bouncy. Now, if you look at these stitches sort of close up, especially in the smaller gauge, you can see that the stitches are not as symmetrical. Do you see how you have the left stitch, the left leg of the stitch is more vertical and the right leg of the stitch is tending a little more horizontal? It gives, do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, you can actually see it if you look from where I am, versus where Ellen is looking at it from this direction. I can see a straight vertical line
Right.
going up, from this angle, and so which is interesting that you have that.
Yeah. And that's because of the twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get that anytime you have this super high twist thing, right? So, and I think it gets a little less noticeable. Maybe it doesn't. No, it's still pretty noticeable.
Actually, you can see it all the way. I mean, there's definitely a straight vertical line on this. As I said, looking at it from this angle, like to the
Yeah.
side, it's definitely, you can see it, I think, more than what Ellen can see looking straight on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was on a 10.5. I pushed it all the way up to a 10.5. And I still think that's it's a very drapey fabric, but that works.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of versatility to these I call them the big sisters of the line,
Of
don't
the
you
line.
think?
Well, I think there was a fair amount of versatility with the smaller ones too. At least I found.
Did you think?
When I was working them, because I went below and way above the recommended needle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's look at yours. I'm going to
Okay,
give you
well,
this.
this would be the
here.
next one. This is the alpaca wool. So,
What did you think about knitting with this?
I liked knitting with this. And I started, the recommended is 5. I think they were saying on a US 5 that you were supposed to get 23 stitches over 4 inches. So, that's 4 and a bit again. Yeah, and
5 and a bit.
I'm sorry, yeah, 5 and a bit. But now I started on a 4.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is a 4 and this is a 5.
Let me showcase this. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, solidly 24.
Right. So and then up on this would be the 5, and hopefully that's. I did a quickie check on them as I was going through them. Yeah.
This is, and what's the? This is
It's
50-50.
It's 50-50 alpaca and wool. So
I'm surprised at how crisp this fabric is. It's not fuzzy.
No, it's not fuzzy at all. Which, yeah, it was also a surprise to me that it was not the least bit fuzzy, which kind of was weird given that it had the alpaca in it and the other 2 yarns that I was using were definitely fuzzy. So,
Yeah, and this is applied construction. And how many plies have we got here?
it's just 2.
Looks like 3 plies.
I think it's 3.
All right,
Yeah,
so
see?
3 ply. Yep, a 3 ply yarn. So again, nice round.
Nice round. Yeah. So, and I again, I did the started with the 4, did a 5, a 6, a 7, and I even went up to an 8. And when I showed this to Ellen yesterday, when I brought it in, I said that I honestly think that I could push this and be really comfortable with using the 7 for a light worsted, a fabric.
This one here?
Yeah, that's the 7, right?
Is this your favorite?
That's
gauge?
that. Yeah, I mean, 7 and 8s are my happy, range with needles.
Really?
Really? Yeah, I love a 7.
Okay.
And so, and I think that this ended up being a really pretty. You talk the stitch definition. I mean, you can see some fuzz on it, but it's not nearly the kind of fuzz that you saw on some of those others. You can kind of see it in the air. You may not be able to see it there, but given that I'm holding this and I got Ellen's black computer keyboard behind it, I can see the fuzz, coming up.
You can see a little bit.
But I really enjoyed working with this,
So you liked it?
I liked it.
It's not splitty?
It was not splitty at all, and I was on a really sharp needle all the way through. All of my needles were really sharp.
So, and this is an S twist, and you carry in your left hand.
carry
So
in my
if
left
it were
hand.
going to be splitty, it would be splitty for you.
It would be very splitty for me, but it wasn't.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a nice. I think this is probably. Well, I can't have favorites.
No.
This is really a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That of the 3 that I did, that was my favorite.
Really?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the next one was alpaca cotton. That was alpaca wool. This is alpaca cotton. And again, it recommended.
Hold it up.
Okay. It recommended a 5, a US 5 on this, and again, it was around that time. I think it was slightly.
Oh, she was saying that these are interchangeable in terms of gauge.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, so yeah, because I know I did the same thing. I started with a 4, and then I went to a 5, and then I went to a 6, and then I went to a 7. I didn't go to the 8 on this one because I thought it was getting a little sloppy.
Okay.
When I hit the 7, I mean, it was okay, but I just thought that the 8 would be sloppy.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. So.
All right. So
Okay, so down here.
Yeah.
I have to keep seeing where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
So
This is what we're showing. This is the
this
camera
is
right now.
we're
Okay.
onto that camera right now. Yeah. So
So here it is at their recommended gauge, or is this small? This is the recommended
This is the
gauge.
recommended gauge, the second one up, the 5.
So this is fuzzy.
Yeah, compared to the, well, of course it's 50, it's 40, what did I say, 52, 48, or no,
Alpaca cotton.
53, 47. And again,
53
47.
alpaca cotton.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is also a blown yarn. You can see that it has the that little knitted tube. That's what.
57.43, not 53.47.
Okay,
57.43.
This is the cotton.
Yeah.
This portion here,
Yeah.
that's the tube, and yeah, you can see how that works. And then they blow the alpaca fibers inside. Can you see that? Yeah. So that gives you that fuzz, right?
Yeah, so it was definitely fuzzier to work with than the alpaca wool. So, but again, I mean, it had more alpaca in it. It was 57 versus 50.
Yeah, and the construction is
And the
really
construction
different.
is different, right?
Yeah.
So,
So here's the one you felt was like as high as you would
yeah,
go.
that was about as high as I thought, and that was on a 7. So, again, I mean, I think my thing is, when I'm working on something, I hold it up to the light and see how much light is coming through and decide, does this look like it would be suitable, or is this just going to be too open a weave and just not maintain its structure if you want some kind of structure. I mean, that isn't, Now, certainly you could go way up with a shawl,
Yeah.
because you don't care about structure as much when you are doing something you're just going to wrap around your body. But if you're going to, put something, a top on, you want it to hang properly.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to just hang.
You don't want it to flop.
You don't want it to flop, right?
Not
you want
floppy.
it to hang properly.
We don't need floppy.
We don't need floppy. No, absolutely. Particularly me. I do not need floppy.
We generally, I think, from your personal style, you like things more crisp.
Yeah.
Right? Crisp and structured. Right? All right.
Okay.
So-
So, and then this was the alpaca haze. So,
So hold this up. Let's look at this. Let me bring this camera down. We can have a look-see. All right. Ooh, that's skinny.
this was skinny, and this was 58 alpaca, 22 wool, and 20 polyamide.
So what's the yardage on this? This is a 25-gram ball.
Right, it's 233 yards.
So this is almost exactly the same yardage
As Kid Silk Haze.
Right.
And I don't know, is the Trinity that yardage?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that.
I'm not sure either. So, but I do know that this is very similar in yardage, and to Kid Silk Haze.
You could carry that,
Well,
instead.
yeah. Now, again, they recommend on the label any needle size from it says from US 3 to US 8. That's a pretty broad range.
Yeah.
And it says anywhere from 24 to 18 stitches over 4 inches.
24 to 18?
Yeah. Given that you're starting with, and I really did start with the 3 on this one. I did not do my usual going down one more line.
Yeah.
I figured 3 to 8, that was going to be a sufficient amount to keep me busy on this one.
You've got a big, you did quite a bit.
Talk about a sleeve. This was a sleeve and
Yeah.
a half, right?
Okay, so and this is the
That's the 3.
All right, let's hold this up. This is a 3, and that's a 4.
Right?
You can sort of see my hands
Right.
kind of through it. 5. Ooh, I like that. 6. 7.
It's getting a little, little
Yeah.
airy. And 8 is very, very, open.
Yeah. This is interesting how the stitches pull. Like, here's your stitch, right? That.
Yeah.
Do you see it pulls?
It pulls, right?
It pulls differently, right? This is the in between the stitch,
Right.
Right. These are your A's, and
Yep.
these are your V's.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I would not go. I would
Yeah.
not wear that. I don't
But
even like
on
that
the
fabric.
other hand, I would definitely carry it with a fine yarn, and so to bring it to it like a regular DK.
Yeah, that would be something we could play with. To play
Right.
with this plus your.
Right. Plus to carry those two together.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And this line is reasonably priced.
Very reasonably priced.
Right. So if you carried two yarns together, it wouldn't be like.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It wouldn't be a
that's not-
Shibui
yeah,
moment.
Yeah, it's not where you're going. What? Did I really do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Hide the bill. I don't want to see this again.
Right. Do you sometimes we're at the register and somebody will say, "Don't even tell me. I don't want to know."
I don't
the
want to
total."
know. I don't want to know. Right? I'm just going to sign. Close their eyes, and or now all you have to do is hold the credit card out.
Right. Don't you love that?
Yeah. Except eventually you see the bill.
Yeah.
At least I do.
Do you pay the bills in your house?
I do.
Chuck wouldn't care.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But
So your favorite?
I think, I like the alpaca wool. That definitely was my favorite of
Why?
the three that I did. Just felt good. It felt good when I was working on it, and I think it's a very versatile yarn as far as what you could make with it. As I said, I think you could push this from DK to light worsted without any problem at all. So,
Especially if you put this with it.
especially if you put that with it, then you could do a lot more with it.
Yeah.
No.
Would you knit a thing with just this?
No.
On a 3? You wouldn't.
No.
So it wasn't. So I don't like knitting with Kids Hill K's by itself.
Yeah. No.
Was it that kind of experience?
It was that kind of an experience. Yeah. It's just again. I said before. Sevens are kind of my happy spot, and the 3 with a very fine yarn and it's sticky. And it has so much fuzz on it. What I found was, I don't know whether you can see this, but every now and again, you can see how the fuzz changes. Some areas are very, very fuzzy.
Yes, I see
and
that.
some areas are not. And like on the end stitches here, when I was doing my, I got it on there.
Yeah.
There we go. It was actually a little difficult on the very edge stitch to see whether I was going into the fuzz or into the actual yarn, In a couple of places I actually missed and sort of like, whoops, wait a minute, as I turned my work, was like, you didn't quite get that. You just got fuzz.
Okay.
Now, that might be my eyesight, but...
Do you think this would be better on a pointy needle or?
Well, I was using a pointy needle.
Okay.
I basically used and I had just taken the necessary needles with me on the weekend. So, and they were all either
rocket squares.
Rocket squares, or Chowgu, the red lace.
Pretty pointy.
All
That's
pretty,
a pretty
all
pointy.
pretty pointy. All pretty pointy. Yeah, which is what I use most of the time.
Yeah.
Is pointy needles.
So I think this is a nice collection for the fall.
I do too, yeah. And next week when you see all of the patterns, there's a huge selection of patterns and ranging from all kinds of stuff, from just
Guy stuff.
Guy stuff, yes, guy stuff. So I can't let Chuck see that.
Does he treat knitting books like catalogs?
Sort of. He said, "Oh, I like that one." Right? If I leave them lying around, and he just kind of, will occasionally pick one up and peruse through it. Yeah, I was very impressed with the number of patterns that are available.
Yeah,
So,
there are a lot, and I think they have, a variety of sort of aesthetics.
yes.
But the whole feel of the range, I think the yarns, is very sort of soft.
It is, it's kind of muted.
Yes.
The color range, again, there's nothing glaring at you in any way.
No, everything's sort of soft.
And I think most of the patterns, are fairly classic. They have some nice modern twists to them, but they are, pretty classic patterns.
Yeah, and one of the things that they've done is for every yarn, they have given you the same colors in every yarn, just about.
Yeah, just about.
So you have this kind of mix and match opportunity. There's not a color of this that you can't find a color of this to go with. You could definitely kind of play with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been sort of Mode's thing, is that they have this tight palette, and it's a very sort of Mode palette.
Yeah. So I think it's a good collection.
Yeah.
I think that you will find that if you are looking at the yarns, that there'll be something in the collection that you will love.
Yeah, and again, the price point is very approachable. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think it's striking.
It is.
It's really striking. All of these yarns are live, available on the website. So if you see something that you like, go and get it. So, all right. Well, thank you for all your swatching.
Thank you for the opportunity. It kept me busy on the train going to and from New York.
Yeah, and you didn't have like a big project you had to handle.
I didn't have a big project
things
that I had to carry around. Yes, I just had these small swatches. It was like, oh my God, am I ever going to finish this? Right?
Wait, that's practically a scarf.
Right.
Oh my goodness. All right, so next week I'll be back and we will have Mary and me looking at all of the designs for Mode, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much for joining us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.